this guy Gamrot doesn't do anything. Like I really don't like his fighting style. Like this guy will.
Welcome back, everyone, to the new edition of Pure Picks. I'm joined here by friends Alex and Gerard, and we're excited to break down UFC Fight Night Vegas. It's going to be Matheus Gamrot versus Rafael Fiziev, which is the main event. And actually, before I get started on this Vegas card, I wanted to just do a little recap with you guys, see how we did on the previous card on Noche UFC. Alex, how did you do on Noche UFC?
Noche UFC was a great event for me. Up 11 units in total. Um, would have been more, but I hedged a couple of my parlays that I won pretty big on. Um, but yeah, like trying to keep that momentum going, and just want to say that like if for each event, if I'm not up at a minimum of 7 units, then I consider that a loss. So we got to keep the pressure, keep the momentum going.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I see a lot of people on social media, people that are supposed to be cappers, and sometimes they gain like 1 unit, like half a unit. That's not what we want to do here. I mean, we want to do big, we want to do it quick, right? Easy in and out. So we always want to aim high. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. We always want to keep pressure on ourselves to keep on getting better and getting that money. Gerard, how did you do today on Noche UFC?
Yeah, the card, I basically hit the card right, except for that the first Mexican prospect, not not Charez, but the other kid, the the one who fought Kyle Nelson. That
Oh,
was the only one
Padilla.
that I got
Oh,
wrong on that
Padilla.
card.
Yep.
Yeah, Padilla. So other than that, I was basically up, except my biggest wager was one with Grasso in it, but that one didn't that one was refunded, so yeah, it could have been a bigger day, but it was a it was just a small day for me.
For sure, for sure. And we always take those, right? As long as it's not an L, but let's try to hit a home run and go big this week. Because I think that although this week to me it seems a little harder in terms of the fight card. There's a lot of potential traps, a lot of crazy odds, but let's just get through it. So first fight that we have on the prelims of UFC Vegas, we have Montserrat Rendon versus Tamaris Vidal. This is going to be a fight at the 135-pound division, badminton division for the women's. Um, Rendon, the monster, she is 5-0. She is a prospect, believe it or not. She's actually 34 years old. She's from Mexico, 5-0 in her last five. She is fighting Tamaris Vidal. She is also 5-0 in her last five, 7-1 record. She's from Brazil. This is going to be a 9-year age advantage for Vidal. She's the younger fighter here at 34 years old compared to 25 years old. And she is going to have a 2-inch height disadvantage. Rendon is 2 inches taller than her. Same reach, actually. So, pretty interesting fight there to kick it off. I mean, usually when you hear a debut fighter, they're a little younger as far as Rendon, but she's making her UFC debut at the ripe age of 34. I'm going to switch it up a little bit to this time. I want to hear your thoughts first before I get into my thoughts about this fight. Gerard, let me know what you think about this first fight. What do you got going on for this one?
This one, I was looking at Monstreet Rendon. Obviously, she's an older debut, 34. She Her boxing, I thought it would be solid, but I think it might not be good enough at this UFC level. She kind of struggles on the back foot. I noticed against her fight against Cloudy, which I thought Cloudy won that fight, and I think she was also another Brazilian too. Um, Tamires, she has good pressure. She mixes up her strikes, not just punches, but also knees and kicks. She's much younger, almost 10-year difference. She's already got a win in the UFC. And I think I'm going with I think you go with the younger fighter here. And I think Tamires wants it more here. And Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward for me.
Definitely.
Tamiris.
Do you have any kind of plays on Tamiris? Anything that you might want to, put a wager on?
This one I might put her in a parlay, but Rendon looks pretty strong, and I think she might try to wrestle. So with that, I might just put her in like one of the smaller rocket parlays.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Alex, what kind of rockets you got for us for this fight?
Um, I'm gonna have to agree with Gerard here. I actually really like Tamiris Vidal in this spot. Um, just watching Montserrat Rendon's fights, the one against Cloudy that you mentioned, Gerard. She's like primarily in a boxing stance. Um, doesn't really throw any combinations, just throws like straight punches, like one at a time. Uh, she doesn't combine them together. And so she also has this tendency where like if she's getting pressured, she feels like she's getting pressured, she's gonna immediately go to the clench and try and shoot for like a very half-assed takedown attempt. Um, and looking at her tapology, I can see that she lost to Juliana Miller. And Juliana Miller, she's in the UFC, but she actually just lost to Luana Santos. Um, and I was all over Luana Santos in that fight, and so I actually think Juliana Miller's a very very weak UFC prospect. And so for her to lose to Juliana Miller, I think that already says all there needs to be said in terms of what I think about her. And in terms of Tamiris Vidal, 6-fight win streak. Looking at her fight tape, she throws very heavy looping shots, heavy body kicks. Um, I just think that like all of her shots are thrown with a lot of power. So I'm actually pretty confident in Vidal to get the win here. So just like Gerard, I would also play her in a parlay. She is a minus 220 favorite right now. But I mean, I would even play her straight up, like 2.2 units to win a unit. Um, I think I'm pretty confident in this pick. So yeah, that's my pick for this one.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I actually totally agree with you guys. I just want to kind of hear your guys' thoughts, but it pretty much aligned with me when I was doing the breakdown for this. Rendon, she reminds me of one of those tough, kind of old school MMA fighters that you see from like 2006 or something, just kind of back in time, really basic stuff. I don't really see anything special that she really excels at. I mean, the strong suit for her, I think, is her grappling. But bad news for her is that I think Vidal's even better a grappler than her. So, I mean, I think that this is going to be a matchup where she might not have anything that she's even excels in. Like you mentioned, Alex, I mean, she doesn't really throw any combos. When I watch her, I see a lot of 1-2s, which is, fine if you have some kind of cool technique like, Sean Strickland, how he spars and how he fights. But if you don't have that technique down and you're kind of just throwing jabs and straights, it doesn't really land that much. I mean, especially against Vidal, I think really Vidal really proved for me in that last fight against Ramona. She's an explosive striker. I mean, she came up um, more thought up as a grappler when I first heard about her. She had like a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe. She's a former soccer player, so she has a good athletic background. But that highlight KO where she knocked out Ramona with those knees, that was really it showed me that she's a truly explosive striker. So she has the striking down, the grappling down. Now, granted, I think Ramona Pascal is a can. I don't think she's really that good and not even UFC caliber. But the fact that Vidal was able to just kind of finish her in really quickly in that fight kind of shows me that she does have some special talent in terms of athleticism and technique as well. In terms of my play, I mean, I think that in terms of the odds, initially when I first saw them, I think Vidal opened up at minus 275, and now she has been bet to minus 225. So you're getting a bit of a discount on her. I still think that that's a decent play, and really, it's really because of the 9 year age advantage there. I mean, that stat has been really relevant throughout UFC. If you follow it, anytime a fighter's like over 7 years, so it's nearing like 60-70% win rate right now. So I think just because of that 9 year age gap for Vidal right there, I'll probably be safe to kind of play her in a parlay. But let's just see how weigh-ins look. You never know, but for now, I think that she could be a pretty good parlay piece there. Yeah, awesome. So we'll just move on to the next fight that we have on the Vegas card right here, and this is going to be also another pretty volatile matchup in my opinion. We have Mizuki and Noni versus Hannah Goldy. Mizuki, she is 14-6. She's 3-2 in her last five. She is coming off a 3 year layoff. Her last fight was in 2020, so that's something to note right there. She is 5'3", 6'4" inch reach. Nothing too crazy for these fighters in terms of reach advantage or height advantage here. Hannah Goldy, of course, she just got knocked out by Molly McCann. She's 2-3 in her last five. 31 years old, so slightly older. Yeah, the 3 year layoff. I mean, level of competition wise, I would say that Mizuki does have a pretty good level of competition. She last fought Amanda Lemos, who just fought for the title and got wrecked by Wei Li. Um, and that, when I watched that fight, I think that it was kind of a closer fight. She did lose unanimously, but she held her own. I don't think she got dominated in any way against Amanda Lemos, which is pretty good. She does have a UFC win against Wu Yinan there. Mizuki, for me, she's just a really well-rounded fighter. I think that probably more of a high-level grappler than striker, but she's well-rounded. Um, she can lay some pace and pressure. It's just really that 3 year layoff because if there wasn't a 3 year layoff, I'll probably play her because Hannah Goldie, I mean, she's cutting down to 115 from 125, and when you look at Hannah Goldie, she's really like jacked, like she has a lot of muscles, like she honestly she just looks like she's has some kind of juice tendencies. I'm pretty sure she's juicing. But even though she looks like a juicer, she doesn't really fight like a juicer. I mean, usually when you see those people, you want them to fight like a Kamaru Usman, right? CEO of EPO. You want them to keep on like going at you with that pace and that pressure, but she doesn't really like. I feel like she really just dances around in a karate stance, and that leads her to getting outstriked and out grappled by people who are better than her. Really, her best attribute, in my opinion, it's her durability. But as you saw in the last fight, that is also slowly slipping away because she got highlight KO'd by Molly McCann with that, I think, like spinning back fist or spinning back elbow or something. So yeah, that was not good for her. And she's cutting down to 115. I don't know. That's bad vibes all around. I'm gonna lean towards passing this fight. There's way too many variables here. 3 year layoff, women's MMA. You're gonna have to pay just to tell you guys an odds right now. You're gonna have to pay minus 310 for Mizuki. I'm not saying that she can't do it, but she opened at minus 350. Has been bet down to like minus 310, minus 320. I'm good on that. I don't need to kind of sweat that in a way. So I'll pass on this fight. But Alex, what do you think about this fight right here?
Yeah, so James, I think you highlighted a pretty important point that Hannah. So this fight is going to be in the strawweight division. So Hannah Goldie is moving down a weight class, and from her last fight against Molly McCann, and in that fight, just watching that tape, she gassed out very quickly. She's primarily a grappler, and in that fight, she shot a really nice kind of um single leg, like pushed Molly McCann against the cage, um, and held her there for quite a while. But um, and that was in the first round. But she spent all of that energy shooting for that takedown and pinning her against the cage. That you could tell once they got out of that clinch position, she looked like tired, and that's how she eventually got KO'd, was because she was gassed out and kind of looked for a way out, I suppose. Um, And then Mizuki, in a way, like you said, hasn't fought in 3 years, which definitely a big question mark. But in that fight against Amanda Lemos, she threw like a shit ton of feints. Actually, like she looked very spry on her feet. Um, and what she was the one actually pressuring Amanda Lemos. So although she lost, and Amanda Lemos just fought against Zhang Weili for the strawweight title. So I mean that's not even like a bad loss, but I thought she looked really good. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really impressed with her striking, but I liked how light she was on her feet, like the feints. So I think I definitely like Mizuki here, over Hannah Goldy. I think she'll probably. I mean, if I were to bet, I think I like the over more, but I'm also pretty confident that Mizuki, in a way, will probably get the win.
Definitely. Gerard, what were your thoughts on this fight?
So I didn't really know much about Mizuki coming into this. I saw her Amanda Lemos fight, and she looked solid all around, even though she looked undersized. Um, she might even be kind of undersized for Hannah Goldie because Goldie's she's built like a brick house. And yeah, Mizuki in that Lemos fight, she looked like she had quick striking, good reflexes, and she was even grappling Lemos pretty good, which Lemos was getting tired from the grappling of Mizuki. Hannah Goldie, she's strong and she's more of a wrestler, right? But I started looking into her other fights, and it looked like some of the strikers were kind of out grappling her a little bit. And I think in this fight, there's a good chance that I can see Goldie looking outclassed in the striking department. The only issue here for me is that Hannah Goldie, she might be a very big opponent for Mizuki to handle. But even with that, I think on skill alone, it makes sense that the odds are the way they are with Mizuki being a 300 like a 300 favorite. Um she is on a 3-year layoff, so that's also something to note. But yeah, I'm leaning Mizuki here, but I'm not too confident.
Yep, yep, that makes total sense. And by the way, Alex, the over on 2.5 is minus 300. So I kind of agree. I mean, if you're gonna play a minus, 300 kind of play, I think you might as well just go the over instead of laying juice on Mizuki there. I think the over is probably a little better of a potential parlay piece if you want to go down that route. So yeah, I agree with that. All right, so let's move on to the next fight, and unfortunately, I think that it's going to be another. I think it's going to be a decision, even though it's a heavyweight fight. We have Jake Collier versus Muhammad Usman, aka I think Kamaru's younger brother. So there he is. He's the another juicer in my opinion. But Jake Collier, it's a lot of juicers these days. I mean, they're not really getting suspended or caught too much, so I think they're just gonna keep on doing it. Yeah, let's start off with Muhammad Usman. Actually, his nickname is the Motor. 9-2 heavyweight, 4-1 his last five. 34 years old, so he's no spring chicken. He got an MMA pretty late. He used to be a former football player, actually. So that's where his athletic genes kind of came from. He's facing off against Jake Collier, nicknamed the Prototype. He is 1-4 in his last five. Man, Jake Collier, the only thing I can say about this guy is he used to be a middleweight, and he just kind of is undisciplined and balloons to heavyweight. And I never like picking those kind of people. I mean, I feel like that shows like a lack of discipline, to not even try to cut down to your natural weight. Even though he does have some skill, he has some good pace and volume for a heavyweight. But as we just saw with his last fight, I mean, he can get paced by a bigger heavyweight when he lost to Martin Budet. right? So I mean, I don't think that that's something that is even his calling card anymore. Um, he had a really close fight with Andrei Arlovsky, but people say he should have won that, but you know, it is what it is. He lost that one too, so he's just taking L after L. Decent striker, like I mentioned, but I just feel like the UFC is they really want some more juice in in their rotation. They want the Usman to kind of have a little cool name right there, and this is probably a good win to get. I mean, Muhammad Usman, he's a kind of a grappler, wrestler kind of only guy. His striking technique is trash in my opinion, but he does have that heavyweight power. I mean, we saw that he knocked out. I forgot his first name, but he knocked out Pauga, and then that was like a highlight knockout right there. Pauga looked like he was doing anything and everything to him, and then all of a sudden that juice is dangerous, man. If you catch you on the chin, it's gone. You're gone pretty much. You got shadow realm, the Puga guy. So he's a physical specimen compared to Collier. I mean, just compare their bodies. Once again, I think the UFC wants to push this guy over Collier. Right now, as far as a parlay piece, Muhammad Usman minus 155 favorite, or minus 140 actually, just turned to minus 140. He opened up at a plus 165. So a lot of people took those dog odds, and I don't blame them, man. I wish I got those dog odds because that's ridiculous. I would have taken those dog odds for sure. Is he good to play as a favorite? I mean, his striking is so ass that I don't know if I could lay juice on him like that. But what Collier showed me in his last fight was absolutely nothing. I mean, he got outpaced by Martin Buday. Um, I would lean towards passing right now, but if Muhammad Usman gets cheaper and gets more into like a pick'em kind of area, or if he even flips to the dog somehow, I might put Usman in my parlay because I think that's just too attractive of a price right there. I think that he can just use his sheer physicality to just get this dub. So I'm going Muhammad Usman pending parlay piece. Maybe I'll look in the weigh in and see how everything looks. But right now, if the odds drop a little bit more, maybe like minus 130, let me get that Usman real quick. Gerard, what do you think about this fight right here?
So this fight, Jake Collier, I remember I was with Alex. He was live betting this fight. I followed him on Jake Collier because he had a fantastic round one. He was looking nice. And then that gas tank was gone after the first round and lost that fight. So that was a sight to be seen. Um, Muhammad Usman, he's sloppy, but he's durable. And I think he'll have the wrestling for sure here against Jake. Um, like you said, Usman, he has the power. He's strong, and I think he's just gonna have better stamina here. I think it's just gonna come down to if Usman can last one round, which I think he can, just weather the storm before Alex jumps in on Collier live betting it, and then it'll be for Sherlock Usman. But yeah, Muhammad should get this. I believe. I think he'll be able to last one round. If he does that, I think he'll win. So yeah, my pick is Usman in this one.
Sure, Alex. What do you got for your boy Collier here?
Oh man, like yeah, this Jake Collier and the Jake Collier and Boudet fight was actually the fight that kind of started my MMA betting career. Yeah, like Gerard said, like I saw that first round between Collier and Boudet. I was like, dude, what? And the odds were like, I think Boudet started out as a heavy favorite, and then after the first round, Collier was smoking Boudet. So I was like, okay, what are the odds now? And they were about even. So I was like, oh, this is free money. Um, but little did I know that Collier has absolutely no gas tank, and I mean zero. If you watch that fight against Boudet, like you'll see that um in round one, like this guy has a lot of skill. Like he's very fast, throws a bunch of volume, good combination, and he'll finish it off with like a kick as well. But as the fight progresses, he'll just have less and less energy. And like you said, James, like this guy started at middleweight and now's a heavyweight. So yeah, completely agree with you. Like no discipline at all, and you don't want to put money on fighters like that. In terms of Usman though, like this guy's also very unskilled. Like he's he doesn't he's just throwing like wild haymakers. He likes to shoot for takedowns. Get in the clinch, get top control. But in terms of skill, I mean, I would side with Collier here, but like you said, I think he's just gonna out physical Collier, and all Usman has to do is stay alive for the first round. Um, and I think Usman will be able to get it done. But in terms of picking a fighter, yeah, I would go with Usman as well. But I think I'm going to pass on this fight, to be honest. Maybe live bet after the first round on Usman, but um, it's heavyweight. Anything can happen. So, uh, but leaning Usman here.
Yep, sounds good. I like that suggestion of a live bet on Usman because Collier could pull that, round one that he pulls, and then he could absolutely look like trash for the next, few rounds. Just to reference your point about, the lack of skill of Usman, I mean, 15% takedown accuracy, it's, striking 0.92 strikes landed per minute. He absorbs 2.62 per minute. I mean, yeah, this guy has no skill at all. But he did beat Junior Tafa, who's I think Justin's or one of the younger Tafa brother, and he went 2 for 14 takedowns and he won. So Usman just needs a few to lay on top of you and to do his thing and just get it done. So I mean that's why I think if it's like dog odds, like the people who got him at dog odds, I think that's very attractive. So I hope that maybe it's a good live betting situation there. All right. Well, from one undisciplined, potentially low IQ fighter to another, we have Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage. This is going to be a 185-pound fight right here. Jacob Malkoun, he is 7-2, 3-2 in his last five. From Australia, he's facing off against Cody Brundage, who's 8-5, 2-3 in his last five. In terms of the height, Cody does have a 4-inch height advantage, reach about the same. Just to tell you guys about the odds here for both of them. I mean, Jacob Malkoun opened up at minus 550, and it kind of went down a little bit, but now it's back to minus 550. Man, everybody's kind of fading Cody Brundage. Um, God, I mean, I probably watched a little too much of Cody Brundage over the last few years, to be honest. I mean, I feel like every time I watch this guy, he's always on TV. I don't know how, but he just keeps on getting these fights. Um, he is the classic guy who just has no fight IQ whatsoever. I mean, I don't know how this guy fights in there. I mean, if you actually watch his fights, he does pretty well, in the beginning. I mean, like you could kind of say that in his last three losses, he had his moments in each of those last three losses. I mean, with McCall, when he fought McCall Olajic, I mean, he took down McCall, and then McCall just freaking reversed him and started just grounding pounding him on top. Like that's crazy. Like I don't know how you lose like that. And then when he fought Rodolfo Rivera, I mean, he's kind of holding his own. I mean, I think he's doing pretty well. But then he just got subbed by Rodolfo. And then, man, that last fight against SD Dumas, literally a street fighter that the UFC just found off the street. Like, literally, this dude, Cody Brundage, was doing kind of well. And then this dude pulled guillotine. Like I just don't know like what his decision making process is in terms of like what he thinks about in the fights. Like he had a clear path to victory in that SD Dumas fight. Just grapple him, just like Josh Frem literally out grappled SD Dumas, and Cody Brundage couldn't do that. So I mean, it just tells you that man, Cody Brundage. I don't know if he's UFC caliber. It's kind of disappointing, but Jacob Malkoun, I mean, he does have some good pace pressure. He's a pretty good grappler. He does takedowns per 15 minutes. while that may be an amazing stat, it kind of shows me that he does lack the top control kind of game to kind of keep the fight on the ground once he takes you down. So while his pace and pressure is great in terms of getting those 7 takedowns per 15 minutes, he kind of works for them a lot, right? And he's 44% takedown accuracy there. But I think that that pace and pressure will be the difference here. Cody does have some power. He's the wrestler with some power, but you just can't. You cannot trust Cody at any cost at this point. I mean, I think he probably has the worst IQ in that division. Um, the only hesitation that I have right now is that Jacob Malkoun. I mean, is he a minus 550 kind of fighter? I think that those odds are just mainly people fading Cody Brundage at this point. Honestly, I think they're just literally fading him against anybody that put just because he literally lost to a Street Fighter his last fight. So I right now, I'll probably lean towards passing because Jacob Malkoun made minus 550. That's really steep right there. You're kind of getting into uncharted territory in terms of is this parlay going to add some juice to? I mean, is this fight going to add some juice to my parlay, and is it a guarantee? But I'll probably pass for now. But you know, if I could see, this is basically a Malkoun or pass for me. I'm not playing Cody Brundage at all. So that's the breakdown for that. Alex, what do you think about this Brundage versus Malkoun fight right here?
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely agree with everything you said there, James. One thing I wanted to highlight was that Brundage's fight against Cedric Dumas, he was a 190 favorite. And if you watch that fight and you put money on Brundage, you, you would have probably been so frustrated because that fight was I don't even know how to describe it. It was a all-time bad performance. Brundage looked gassed after getting grappled by Dumas, and I don't know, like that. I don't even know how that happened. So, um, yeah, like with you, it's either Malkoun or pass. And like looking at the odds, that's a way too steep a price to pay because um again, as you said, like Brundage has like good moments where he looks decent. But with Malkoun, I'm watching him fight. He can be hittable. I like that he likes to bring constant pressure. He likes to be in your face. Um, but in his last fight against Maximov, he actually got knocked down by him. But uh, he was able to take Maximov down like a ton of times. He has this like move where he'll kind of utilize the cage, like he'll push off against the cage to kind of like use the cage as extra leverage to take the opponent down, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I mean, as you said, like Maximov was just able to get up like a ton of times, so he's not able to like pin you down and get top control. So yeah, I'm probably gonna pass on this fight. I think the price is a little bit too high. But yeah, definitely not putting any money on Brundage here.
Definitely. Gerard, what do you think about Brundage versus Malkoun?
At this point, I think Cody Brundage looks like he pretends to be a wrestler when I'm watching his fights, and like that Dumas fight, I don't know, he just gives up positions. It looks like during the fight he just looks like he gives up. I don't see the dog in him. Whereas Jacob Malkoun, he's ready to make it a dog fight. He's just game for it. We saw that he has a chin. He's strong and he actually wrestles. He doesn't pretend to be a wrestler. Um, yeah, these odds, yeah, I think the minus 500s from people who got burned from Brundage. So it kind of makes sense. Um, I would go with the guy that doesn't give up, has that dog in him here. But yeah, minus 500 is kind of iffy, but yeah. I'm same here. It's either Malkoun or pass for me.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. Yeah, just no money on Brundage, guys. I think that's I think that's something that we can all agree on right there. All right, so next fight that we have up, it's gonna be still on the prelims. I think we have two more prelim fights for the main card. This one is Tim Means versus Andre Fialho. Tim Means, UFC vet, 32-15, 2-3 in his last five. 39 years old. That's something that I want to highlight there. He's going up against Andre Fialho, 16-7, 2-3 in his last five, 29 years old. In terms of the height advantage, Tim Means does have a 2-inch height advantage, slight reach advantage at 1 inch as well. Um, Odds, just so you guys can kind of see what I'm seeing right here. Andre opened up at -145. Now has been bet to -170. So slight action right there on Andre. Might be a buy low there. Um, you know, Tim Means he's an underrated vet in my opinion. He's pretty tough. It does look like he's starting to slow down. I mean, he's 39, so don't blame him there. Um, he looked decent in his last fight, in my opinion, against Alex Morono, who I think is he's definitely a UFC caliber kind of gatekeeper type of fighter. So that wasn't a bad loss in my opinion. But you kind of just saw how the new age techniques of an Alex Morono got him with that guillotine, right? That guillotine that Morono kind of pushed on him. Tim Means might not even train for that, and he does look kind of bad in grappling situations to me. He also got subbed by Kevin Holland. So he might not be keeping up with the new age kids on the block in terms of grappling situations. But I don't think he has to worry about that in this fight. I mean, he's fighting against a guy, Andre Fialho, who's I like to call him all hands, no chin. I mean, his chin is freaking deteriorating. I mean, I feel like he's getting knocked out every fight he's going into. His last fight against Joaquin Buckley, he was fighting a Joaquin Buckley who was coming down from 185 to 170. Boom, head kick KO in the second round. Before that, spinning back kick and punches against Muslim Salikov. Jake Matthews, who man, Jake Matthews right crossed him. I mean, he made Jake Matthews look like a top tier in terms of his division, and I don't think Jake Matthews is that. So three straight KOs, the definition of a glass cannon. I mean, I think I'll compare this guy to like a Cody Garbrandt in a way, where they're just all there for all that action, no chin, any kind of touch on that chin could be lights out for them pretty much. Does have some nice hands, does have some KO power. I don't think he has any grappling to speak of, in my opinion, that I've seen at least. Um, just because of that, I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty close fight. I'm going to wait for weigh-ins. Right now, I'm leaning towards dog or pass, but that 10-year age advantage that Fialho has of being the younger man, that looms large for me. I mean, that's something that's a trend that I just don't want to go against sometimes. Trend is your friend in a lot of things, and a trend like a 10-year age advantage. I mean, I don't want to go against that. That's just really hard to go against. But if I were to play this fight, I would say dog or pass. And if you notice, just this card overall, I mean, not a lot of things where I'm saying automatic parlay piece yet, right? I mean, I'm for me, I'm passing on a lot of these fights so far. I just think that it's kind of a trap city, and you got to kind of pick your spots in this. So I'll go on to Gerard here. Gerard, what do you think about this fight?
Tim Means has been around, right? He's 39. Um, the thing for this fight, this matchup, I notice is that Tim Means to me, he doesn't seem too explosive of a fighter. And the matchups that Fialho has been getting knocked out in seems to be like pretty explosive fighter with some power, young and explosive. Um, I think Tim Means he has really educated striking. He'll be there to be a dog. He just has a deficiency in the grappling exchange, which it seems like I don't think this will be an issue for Tim. Um, I actually think that Fialho, he has a chin. It just gets tested too much during the fight. And I mean this to like, it's not like I actually think he has decent defense actually,
Really?
but I think it's just these matchups he's going up against like some explosive guys who hit him, he stumbles, and he's not lights out. It took a few against Jake Matthews. It took he his chin was holding up pretty well. I was like, man, a lot of people would be gone by now. Um, but I think against Tim Means, I don't think Tim Means has the explosive pop to knock out a Fialho because I actually think he does have a chin. It's just bad matchups. And he is like 10 years younger almost. And yeah, I think this could be like a bounce back for Fialho, honestly. But Tim Means has that experience against some decent strikers as well. So yeah, it's kind of iffy. I think I would wait. I would wait until weigh-ins for this, but I'm leaning Andre Fialho, not locking in anything yet.
Definitely. Alex, well, what are your thoughts on this fight right here?
Like me, if these fights like go go past like the full 5 minutes, I think Means is gonna look better on the scorecard in terms of like what the judges look at because he's just gonna have more activity. But I think Fialho will be able to get the KO here. I think that age gap is pretty wide, and um, yeah, I mean, I think Fialho has definitely has like skill. You know, his shots are pretty heavy. So yeah, I think I'm going with Fialho here.
Yep, no, that makes sense. I mean, the 10-year, age advantage, Fialho has the power, a lot of things going on for him in this fight. It's just I've seen so much of this guy just taking so much damage, and I don't know if I want to see him get potentially KO'd by a 39-year-old dude. That'll be a very sad way to potentially lose money there. But yeah, I do agree with you guys. I see where you guys are coming from right there. All right, cool. So we'll move on to the next fight, and finally, I think that this is going to be a fight where it could be good to play right here. I think this could be a good play fight. We have Miles John versus Dan Argueta. Miles John is 13-2. He is cut bantamweight, 135-pound division. 3-2 in his last five. He's 29 years old. He's fighting against Dan Argueta, the Determined. That's his nickname. He's coming off that kind of a premature stoppage against Ronnie Lawrence, where he was dominating. I think he was dominating like a pick'em or a dog or something. Like it was pretty good odds for Dan right there. He is also 30 years old. Same height. They actually have the same height, and then Dan has a 2-inch reach advantage. Odds for this fight, we have Dan as a minus 175 favorite, opened up as a pick'em. So he has been bet to a bigger favorite so far. Miles John, he has solid power. I think, he has potential KO power as well. Pretty strong guy. Um, he does have wrestling roots, but he doesn't really seem to get takedowns all that well. I mean, if you just look at his takedown percentage, it's not really looking too good there. He does have wrestling roots, but I don't really think he wants to use it either because he gets tired or whatever the reason is. I mean, we're talking about like a 19% takedown uh, accuracy right there. That's not good. 0.86 takedowns every 15 minutes. So even with that wrestling pedigree, I mean, he doesn't look like he wants to, wrestle. He does have a 90% takedown defense, but if you do look at his record, I mean, in terms of who he's fought, right? I don't think he's really fought really good wrestlers in my opinion. And when he does fight someone like let's say a Mario Batista, who it does have some good wrestling and grappling, he took that L. He also lost to Sexy Mexi, who just kind of pieced him up on the feet. Um, I mean, for me, Dan Agueda, underrated wrestling and grappling. I think we saw that with the Ronnie Lawrence fight. Ronnie Lawrence was supposed to be this guy that had also that non-stop kind of pace and pressure. But to me, it looked like Dan was the one who actually had that non-stop pace and pressure. I mean, um, just to kind of let you guys know, I first watched Dan on when he had a short notice close loss to Damon Jackson, who, Damon Jackson I think is really legit, and Dan has improved a lot since then. And coming off his last fight against, Ronnie Lawrence, that should be a dub on his record. I mean, I think that Dan actually has a lot of momentum coming into this fight. I would play Dan as a parlay piece here. I'm going all in on Dan. I just don't see what Miles John has for Dan in terms of his relentless pace and grappling. What Miles John is going to do is he's going to try to knock Dan out. He's going to try to use that 92% takedown defense. But I think he's going to be surprised by the kind of pace and pressure that Dan puts out. We're talking about a 60% takedown accuracy. He's getting almost 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. And not only does when he takes people down, he tries to kind of dive through the legs or tries to trip you up on the judo. He does 1.9 submissions every 15 minutes. So he's trying to go for the subs as well. I mean, I think that Dan's actually pretty underrated guy in this division, pretty dangerous. So I'm gonna go with Dan here to get that dub that he should have got from Ronnie Lawrence, and at a price of -175. Under a 2-1 favorite. Yeah, give me that all day. I'm going Dan. Alex, what do you think about this fight as far as Miles John and Dan here?
Damn. So I was watching Miles John's his fight against John Castaneda, and interesting thing that he said was, and you alluded to, James, was that he has a wrestling background. Um, in that fight, the commentator mentioned that he has a scholarship. He had a scholarship for wrestling. Um, so he was he he had a scholarship for wrestling, but he eventually like turned it away to like pursue MMA full time. Um, which I thought was pretty interesting because he's definitely going to need to kind of leverage that background in wrestling against Argueta because um, in Dan Argueta's last fight against Ronnie Lawrence, right from the get go, Argueta looked really aggressive. Shot for that takedown, was able to get Ronnie Lawrence down right away. But what I think is particularly interesting here is that Miles Johns has a very his body type is very compact. It's actually very similar to Dan Argueta's. And I think that's gonna be an important like kind of piece here because against Ronnie Lawrence, like he's just kind of like a lengthy guy. That type of like body type is kind of easy to take down. Whereas like a body type like Miles Johns, it's gonna be much harder. Um, Plus him having a wrestling background, it's gonna be I think it I think, the odds opening up as a pick 'em, kind of makes sense in my eyes. Um, but in terms of, like, picking a fighter, I don't know, I don't like that Miles Johns doesn't throw a lot of volume, but when he does strike, he does strike with a lot of power. So I think I'm just gonna pass on this fight in terms of lean. I would I would lean with the underdog, Miles Johns here. So it's more of like a dog or pass situation for me. Um, so yeah.
Definitely. Gerard, what do you think about this fight here?
Miles Johns, he definitely has the power. I'm not sure if he'll have the wrestling advantage here because Dan, like you said, he keeps getting after it on the takedowns and the wrestling and the grappling. Um, what I worry about here is Miles John's size. I'm not sure if I've seen Daniel grapple with someone as compact and kind of a stocky frame like Miles John's here. Um, Daniel Argueta, he does look like he has the better gas tank, and he seems to be the more consistent fighter. Miles Johns, I think in his last fight, um, I think he said he didn't have a good camp, so I think he has like inconsistent camps. So we're not gonna see what we're not gonna know what type of Miles Johns we're gonna see. And I think in this fight, we know what we're gonna see from Daniel. I think he's always gonna be bringing it no matter what. And I do think Argueta, he probably has the better gas tank, in my opinion, just because of his pace. And Miles Johns, I think he doesn't have a he doesn't have technical, clean striking. He's like winding up, trying to get that knockout shot. And I think he's fallen in love with that, his power. He's fallen in love with his power. And I think that Argueta will be able to work with that because it's not as clean or technical striking. It's more just winding up. So yeah, I would lean Argueta here as well. Um I'm I'm leaning Argueta or pass here because I just don't know about Miles John's size and physicality, if it'll be a detriment to Argueta's game.
All right, yeah. I mean, looks like we all have kind of different opinions on this fight. Obviously, I'm full send Dan Argueta. Gerard's kind of a mid kind of opinion on Argueta, and Alex is going to be kind of leaning towards the dog and Miles John. But that's what makes these fights kind of fun to break down because we all have different opinions. So let's see what happens on Saturday and see, kind of how it plays out. Next fight that we have on the card, it's finally we're on the main card, and I'm glad that they made this the fight to open up the main card because I think it's going to be really entertaining. We have Charles Jourdain versus Ricardo Ramos, or Ramos if you're speaking Portuguese. Um, this is going to be a fight in the 145-pound division. As far as Charles Jourdain, I think he's coming off of that loss to Nathaniel Wood. And, he's 3-2 in his last five, 14-6 record, 27 years old, 5'9". Ricardo Ramos, 16-4, 3-2 in his last five, 28 years old. He does have a slight reach advantage, 3-inch reach advantage compared to Charles Jourdain. Um, Odds minus 146 for Charles Jourdain right now. He opened up at plus 145. So a lot of people took that dog money on Air Jordan. And I think I know why. Because, I mean, Charles Jourdain, whenever I watch him fight, I think he's a fan favorite. I think a lot of people like to watch this guy's fighting style. He really is a tough kind of fighter. I don't think that he's the most technical, but he puts a freaking crazy pace on. He really is always there, takes a lot of damage, and can dish it out as well. He's landing 5.78 strikes per minute, and he's absorbing 4.3. So he's dishing it out, but he's also taking 49% striking accuracy. Um, Cardio machine in stand up. I mean, he is coming off in my opinion, a questionable opponent in Kron Gracie. I don't think Kron Gracie should be a UFC fighter at this point, so might have got a really easy matchup there. But a dub's a dub, especially in the UFC. Ricardo Ramos. I mean, good mix of striking, grappling. He has actually really good takedowns. He mixes it up really well. The issue with him is I think that when he does try to grapple, and I think that to win, he is going to need to grapple in this fight, he seems to get tired from it. And I don't think you want to get tired facing a guy like Charles Jourdain. I mean, I think that's a recipe for disaster there. So, I mean, for me, I see this fight. There's both sides have things that they can take advantage of either side, right? And just because of that, I'm gonna lean towards passing right now. If I were to play, I do kind of like the plus odds on Ramos. I mean, plus 126 right now. I think that's pretty good value for a guy that always kind of tries to look for finishes in his fight. Right? You want to bet that kind of plus money on a dog when he tries to finish fighters. But I don't think Charles is a guy that is likely to get finished in this fight. So for me, if you're going Charles Jourdain, probably maybe even decision, I think that could be a pretty nice play right there. But for now, I'm probably going to pass on this fight. Alex, what do you think about this fight right here?
Yeah, this fight is hard to really hard to predict, to be honest. But it is going to be a very entertaining fight, for sure. Like both of these guys have skills, like they have real skills. Um, Ramos, he last fought a year ago against Danny Chavez. In that fight, he was throwing a lot of spinning kicks, quick 1-2 punch combos. Um, he is pretty big for the weight class, and he does have trouble cutting weight. He missed weight in his fight against Austin Lingo. So that's never really a good sign if you're missing weight. Um, but Ramos, he is very hittable, but he doesn't really gas out. Um, his power seems like it'll carry forward through rounds 2 and 3. Um, like you said, good. He's a black belt in BJJ. He has like KO wins, submission wins. So he can mix it up for sure. And then Jourdain, he's also really good too, man. Like, good combination punches, decent enough cardio, mixes in kicks. He's nice too. So this is like one of those fights where you kind of just sit back and watch and just kind of enjoy. Don't really know who to pick here, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think that last time when Charles fought Nathaniel Wood, um, I was on I think I was on the Jourdain side, and after that, I was like, never again. I'm good on, I'm good on putting money on this guy because he's a very entertaining fighter, but I don't know if I could trust him ever again. Gerard, what do you think about this fight here?
So Ricardo Ramos, he's a very dynamic striker. He's pretty wild and unpredictable. Um, I think he's kind of less disciplined, I would say, compared to Charles Jourdain. I see Charles Jourdain as more of like a I actually think he's becoming more of a technical striker. Seeing him fight against Burgos and Nathaniel Wood, he was actually looking good in those fights that he lost. And he's gone up against the better competition, I think, and has looked good doing it, in my opinion. And I just love his combinations, honestly. I like when he throws it on the break, he comes at you, throws a nice 1, 2, 3 piece with a club soda. Um, yeah, the only problem here is Ramos, he's kind of you don't know what's coming. It's kind of hard to predict what Ricardo Ramos is going to do next, but some of the things that he tries isn't always the effective thing to do. So, like when I was watching Ramos versus who's that the grappler, the black guy? It was oh yeah, Laurent Murphy,
Mm,
the well-rounded fighter. He was throwing like some kicks behind his other leg. I was like, what are you doing? That's not even it doesn't look effective at all. Um yeah, here I think I gotta go with the GOAT, Air Jourdain. And I actually considered him to be a lock in this fight, but I'm going average to high confidence on Jourdain. I wish I got the plus money on him, but I was too slow. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just to confirm, are you putting Jourdain in your parlays?
Yeah, he's in my parlays.
Nice,
Damn.
Yeah, definitely.
nice, nice. Well, looking forward to hear those later. All right, so let's just move on to the next fight on the main card. We have Brian Battle versus AJ Fletcher. This is going to be a fight, I believe, in the see 170-pound division. Yeah, so welterweight division. Um, really interesting fight here. We have Brian Battle. He's 9-2, 4-1 in his last five. 29 years old. He's going against AJ Fletcher, 10-2, 3-2 in his last five. 26 years old, so slightly younger there. He is slightly shorter as well. He has a slight reach, not slight actually. He has a 10-inch reach disadvantage. So Brian Battle is going to be the much lengthier fighter. much longer fighter here as well. Um, just checking on the odds here. We have Brian Battle at minus 170 right now. So he opened up at minus 160. He did go to minus 220 as of, I would say, September 10th or so. But now he has been bet back to minus 170. So a lot of people saw that 2-1 odds kind of deal and then jumped in on the AJ Fletcher dog odds there. Um, Brian Battle's coming off of a very quick KO of Gabe Green. He did miss weight that fight, so just want to remind you guys of that. But to me, he seems to be coming into his own. I mean, he's finding his power with the KOs. When he head kicked Takashi Sato, I think the Japanese guy, was it Sato or Takashi Sato? Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy's definitely not in the UFC anymore, but he definitely head kicked him. He did get dominated by Renat Fakhretdinov in late notice, but that was a late notice fight, and I think that was just a horrible matchup for Brian Battle. Um, Brian, will he go for the takedowns against AJ Fletcher? I don't think so. I mean, I think that he's going to try to keep this on his feet, and he's just going to try to piece up AJ Fletcher. Now, AJ Fletcher, when I do watch his fights, I do think that this guy has all the skills that you need to be a successful, UFC fighter at least. I think that he has good striking. He does have good wrestling. I mean, his wrestling is pretty damn good. He always gets takedowns. The bad part about his game is that he has bad pace. I think this guy gets really tired, especially after during round two or after round two, he just gets really tired and then he starts making these low IQ decisions. I mean, I think that fight against Matt Selmsberger, he was actually doing pretty well, and then he just got tired, and then lost his IQ, lost his brain, and then he just lost that fight. Same thing with Angelusa when he fought him. Um, he did do well against Themba Gorimbo. He turned the corner and got the victory there, but he also got taken down by Themba Gorimbo. And that's I don't know if that's something that's good on your record to get taken down like that. Um, just solid skill set. Can eat shots. He's tough and he's durable as well. Um, in this fight, I would lean towards Brian Battle. I think that potentially could be a buy low on Brian Battle at this point. I mean, I think the odds there, it's pretty decent odds. I would consider putting Brian Battle in parlays, but I would want to wait and see for weigh-ins because Brian did have a weight miss for his last fight. If he does come in and miss weight again, we're gonna have to start kind of asking questions of this guy suited for the 170-pound weight division, right? Because he does have a large frame. He probably could and should go up to 185, but let's see how he does for the weigh-ins. But for now, I'm leaning towards Battle, but I'll wait for the weigh-ins there. Gerard, what do you think about this fight right here?
AJ Fletcher, I think he'll have the wrestling, and he's a tough guy. He's a dog. Just seeing how his fight with Angelusa, who's a pretty good striker. Um, yeah, he almost knocked him out. So he has power if he catches Battle, but Battle does have the physical tools, and he has that reach and just his size for the division. Makes him a more lethal fighter, I would say. And I think the problem with Battle is I'm not sure how he would do if this turns into a dogfight. And if you add in the wrestling, if it goes to 3 rounds, I would think Battle can get AJ Fletcher out of there, but AJ Fletcher is a tough cookie. He yeah, this could go turn into a dogfight if AJ Fletcher can last, and I'm not so sure we've seen Brian Battle get into a fight like that. So I got Brian Battle though. I think he should win. Um, yeah, yeah, I think Brian Battle should win. It's just Fletcher's toughness, his wrestling, and we haven't seen Brian Battle in a dogfight yet.
Alex, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, this it's same as the last fight. It's kind of tough for me to pick someone. Like just so like Battle, he's had some nice like knockouts, like quick knockouts. So I just feel like there hasn't been a lot of tape on him. Um, what I will say though is like I feel like if it's like just a straight up standing fight, then I would say like is going to win for sure. Um, but I don't know if Fletcher is gonna mix in that wrestling, and I don't and like Renat, like you mentioned, was able to take down Battle like super easily, even though that was like a terrible matchup for him, and Fletcher won't really shoot takedowns like that. But I haven't even really seen AJ Fletcher wrestle, kind of. Like in his last fight against Themba, that fight was really strange because like Themba took down AJ Fletcher and then like kind of just got reversed. I don't know. It was like a really um weird thing that happened in the first round. And then the second round, it was another like just random takedown that happened, and then eventually Themba uh Fletcher subbed Themba, but yeah, I don't really know. Like I couldn't really kind of determine how the fight's going to go, but I think, if it remains stand up, Battle should win. But yeah, like Gerard said, if it becomes like a dogfight and Fletcher, what I will say is that Fletcher likes to kind of slowly move forward and throw out, his punches, and he is very durable. But I think Battle just uh has better striking technique. He's decent enough at like maintaining range. So I think I lean Brian Battle here, but also probably just staying away, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely getting those strange vibes from this fight. They could go a lot of different directions for sure. Um, all right, let's just move on to the next fight that we have on the main card. There's going to be a third fight on the main card. We have Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson Gomez, otherwise known as Karate Hottie. This is actually a rematch. I think they fought maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's kind of strange that they're fighting again, but I think that just means that the UFC has run out of opponents for both of them. So they're probably just running this back for some reason. Marina Gomez Rodriguez, she is 3-2 in her last five, 16-3 record overall, and two as well. 36 years old. She's fighting Michelle Waterson, 18-11, 1-4 in her last five, 37 years old. So both seasoned vets at this point. Um, there's going to be a height advantage for Marina, reach advantage for Marina. Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the easiest fight to cap since it just happened like 2 years ago. And what I saw from that matchup is that Marina is just a better striker than Michelle. I mean, better punches, better kicks, in my opinion. She's facing another aging vet where she has a striking advantage. She already beat her. I I don't think that we need to worry about the power from Michelle like we did when Marina fought Amanda Lemos when she got knocked out. Um, she got out grappled by Jourdain in her last fight. Don't think we need to worry about that from Michelle Waterson at this point. I mean, she's a really, even for the 115-pound weight division, she's a small fighter for that division. She should probably be fighting the weight class lower than that, which they don't have in the UFC. So I think that's why she's fighting in this division. But Michelle does have some solid skills. I think that she does have some good grappling skills, but she's going to be outsized in most matchups, and I don't think she can really take advantage of those grappling skills. Um, Honestly, I feel like they just want Michelle to fight out her contract here. I think maybe this is like I need to look into that if this is going to be like the last fight on her contract or something like that. But I just don't see why they are doing this match in a way. It's kind of strange. I mean, Marina opened up at -310. She's now -290, so a little bit of dog action on Michelle Waterson. Um, but for me, yeah, this is another full send kind of play parlay piece for Marina. I mean, I think that she's definitely safe to parlay here, as even at those odds. We saw what happened the first matchup. I don't think it's going to be anything different here. So I'm going with Marina. She's going to get the comeback dub after her last couple losses, and Michelle Waterson might be her last fight, or maybe second to last fight or something. Alex, what are your thoughts on this fight right here?
Yeah, so when I was watching a tape of Marina Rodriguez, man, I couldn't even like get through it. Like her fights are so boring. I mean, it was tough. It was tough, like 5 rounders. Like it was tough to watch. Um, Michelle Waterson, she at least like throws like some like nice kicks, that sort of stuff. But man, I think in terms of a bet, like I think you have to go Marina just because like they fought like just 2 years ago and they're just running it back. But I think for me, I would personally just go with the over. I don't think any of these women can knock the other person out. So curious what the over is, but I think I would lean with that. But man, this one's gonna be like a snooze fest for me, to be honest.
Oh yeah, yeah. The over 2.5 right now. It's minus 350.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I
Definitely.
guess I guess like in that case, probably go with Marina Rodriguez.
Mhm.
But uh, yeah, I I cannot watch a Marina Rodriguez fight. It's terrible.
Definitely. Gerard, what do you think about these two seasoned vets right here?
Yeah, so none of them have the age advantage here. They both fought each other before. Um, Personally, when I look at both of these fighters, they both seem just inconsistent to me. And when I watch their rounds, man, both of them, I feel like I don't see them have doing any like winning actions throughout a round. Like, so I don't even know how the judges could score like a Marina Rodriguez fight or this older version of Karate Hottie. Um, Personally, I'm staying away because I don't know what's gonna happen. Because both these fighters, I feel like I don't see them winning any convincing rounds in their fights, and I don't even know. Even though Marina won already before in the past, I still can't. I can't convince myself to bet on any of them.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'm just glad that this isn't a 5 round fight because the last time they fought was a 5 round fight, and Marina, yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't watch it either, honestly, but I saw enough to tell me that hey, I think Marina got this. But it was she had two 49-46 scorecards, 148-47. So it's kind of competitive, but not really, in my opinion. Yeah. So yeah, I think
Okay.
the play here is Marina, but yeah, maybe not the most entertaining fight that we have here. But I think that we are going to go to an entertaining fight. In the next fight, it's going to be the co-main event. We have Bryce Mitchell versus Dan Ige. Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell. He's 15-1, 4-1 in his last five. 28 years old. He's fighting against Dan Ige, 17-6, 2-3 in his last five. 32 years old. Slight age advantage there for Bryce Mitchell. He's also has the height advantage, reach. Dan actually has the 1 inch reach advantage over him. So that's very interesting there. Um, just to tell you guys the odds here, this is actually some really interesting odds. So Bryce Mitchell opened up at a minus 270. He got bet down to a pick 'em actually at one point, and now he has gone back to a minus 209, so back to a 2-1 favorite. Um, Bryce Mitchell, I mean, God, a part of me wants to say that this could be a potential buy low situation on Bryce Mitchell coming off an absolutely horrible loss to Ilia Topuria where he just got destroyed, in my opinion. Like he did take down Ilya in I think round one, but you just saw there were levels in terms of the grappling and striking and just physicality as well. I mean, just looking at Bryce Mitchell's body, I mean, I don't know if this guy really takes the physical opponent like component of the MMA really seriously, right? I think he just relies on really trying to grapple and wrestle people. To me, he's more of like a jujitsu nerd who has a unorthodox kind of striking game and sometimes a weird inconsistent power. But he does catch you like an Edson Barbosa fight where he did drop Edson Barbosa of all people. He does have some weird power there, but I think that he's really more of a pace takedown, diving at legs, try to grind it out. But we saw that because of his lack of technique and lack of kind of skill set on the feet, you know, he if he runs into someone who can dish out punishment like an Ilia Topuria, it's going to be bad news for him. That was to me he even though it's unorthodox technique, I think that he has whack hands. Like I don't think his hands is good. I don't think his striking is good. Kicking game kind of like it's everything about his stand up kind of sucks. He's just more of a kind of try to take you down and then try to sub you, which is really something that he's pretty good at actually. I mean, I don't think that he's one of those guys who just tries to lay and pray. He does go for the submissions, which is something that I like. Um, just a little bit more about him. I mean, he's going through some weird kind of personal stuff right now. I mean, if you guys seen his social media posts talking about like his ex-girlfriend with fruit trees, like I don't like to see that when I'm looking at fighters, right? I feel like that's a bad sign, especially against a guy like Dan Ige, who I feel like this guy's just a true professional, man. Like he just fights the best of the best, never makes any excuses. He just comes in there, tries to win. Nice, solid striking and grappling. I think it's underrated in both actually. Also underrated power as well. I mean, he knocked out Gavin Tucker in like round one. So if he does catch you, it can end quick if he catches you right. Um, Great again, once again, great strength of schedule. I mean, he's fought the best of the best at 145, and he did get beat in a lot of them, but I think that he held his own pretty well in all those fights. Actually, right now he seems very focused, which is the opposite of Bryce Mitchell. The only hesitation that I have for this fight is that we've seen Dan Ige get outgrinded by grapplers in the past. Um, like, especially against a guy like a Mozart Evloev. The same thing could happen here. But man, just in terms of the odds, right now 2-1 favorite. To me, Dan Ige is looking juicier and juicier in terms of dog price. I mean, I'm waiting for more people to go in on the Bryce Mitchell train, and I'm gonna try to scoop the bottom here. It's because I think that I don't know if I can just put money down on Bryce Mitchell like that, man. This guy's talking all kinds of crazy on social media and his whack ass stand up game, especially against 50K Dan Ige, man. I think this guy's coming for a
50K.
performance bonus, bro. I really think so. So for me, it's dog or pass. Dan is looking better, by the day in terms of price. So let me just wait until the price gets a little better, and let me try to scoop that up. But yeah, the pick is Dan, and I'll probably wait until gets the odds gets a little juicier. Alex, what are your thoughts on the co-main event here?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, James. I think this fight is going to come down to whether Bryce Mitchell can close the distance on Dan Ige. Because I think we can all agree Dan Ige's striking is clean. His boxing is super nice. So in his loss against Movsar Evloev, um, he did get outgrinded, but I mean Evloev, I feel like he has better striking than Bryce Mitchell. And even when he was able to take Dan Ige down, Dan Ige was able to get back up. So you know, I I think I'm leaning a lot with what you're saying, James. I think I would pick Dan Ige here. I just Yeah, like Bryce Mitchell's last fight against Topuria was just it looked like he was broken after that fight. And so add on to that, like what you said about the social media stuff like that. I mean, I would just go Dan Ige, personally. But I don't think I would put him in any parlays or anything. More of like a straight bet. It was nice underdog value play.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the price is getting juicier by the day because we're seeing money going price. That's for sure. Gerard, what do you think about this fight here?
So I was looking at Bryce Mitchell, his fight with Barbosa. Um, Even though he knocked him down, he kind of looked kind of fluky to me. I don't think he's a dangerous striker. I think Barbosa was just walking in there, not caring about his striking, and he just got caught because he wasn't expecting that. So, in terms of Bryce Mitchell's grappling, I think he's like more of a opportunistic grappler, not like Evolov, um, the guy that Dan Ige was having some trouble with in the grappling sense, because Mitchell's not really like a explosive grappler or like uses has the strength of grinding it out. He's more of like kind of opportunistically trying to get you out of position and take you down type of wrestling. Um, what I like in Dan Ige is that he kind of has that similar frame to Poria in this fight. He has solid striking, defense. I think and he also has that power left hook too, which if he catches Bryce Mitchell, it could be an underdog's day, right? Um I think Danny is kind of like a worn down, tuned down Ilya Taporia to me, if you could see that. He he has that he has pretty good boxing and all that. The only problem is with Ige is that whether he wins or loses, he wears those fights on his face. So he always has like a cut or something, even when he wins. Um, so if it goes to a decision, judges might look at his face and it might sway Bryce Mitchell, even if Danny Ige was actually doing more work. Um, in terms of the odds, I do think Mitchell here is probably overpriced, and I do like the value in Dan Ige for this fight. And I forgot to say earlier, the first fight, Mizuki Goldy. Goldy is a OnlyFans fighter, so she has that OnlyFans. Bryce Mitchell, he's a rapper. So in this card, I'm probably gonna be fading the rapper and OnlyFans influencers. Yeah, and I also got Dan Ige. I'm not sure about putting him in a parlay though, but probably a straight up bet.
Definitely. It's funny that you mentioned that. I think the last OnlyFans fighter that I remember was like the Vanessa Demopoulos or whatever her name is. I remember that was pretty funny. Good strategy right there to pay those people for sure. All right, so it looks like we're kind of all on Dan Ige, which makes me kind of worried a little bit. So, but it looks like we're all on Dan Ige as a dog here. Let's try and get that dog money. All right.
You like that thug nasty?
Yeah. He's actually not that bad of a rapper. I listened to a few of his songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Not bad. He has some flow right there, dude. It's not bad.
Like nasty.
All right, it's a good nickname too. All right, let's head over to the main event. This is gonna be the last fight of the card here we've got in Vegas. It's gonna be Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. Very fun fight. I mean, these are top 10 lightweights, probably the best division in the UFC. Rafael Fiziev, 12-2, 4-1 in his last five, 30 years old. He's fighting Mateusz Gamrot, who's 22-2, 4-1 in his last five, 32 years old. Slight height advantage for Gamrot, 2 inches taller. Slight reach advantage for Fiziev, 1 inch reach advantage there. Odds wise, right now, Rafael Fiziev opened at a minus 175. It is now bet down to a minus 150. So Some people are getting, some Gamrot dog odds there. Um, as far as, let me just hand it off to you guys because I mean I have a lot of thoughts on both these fighters actually, but I want to hear from Gerard first. What do you think about this fight here?
So Matus Gamrot, he's not a dangerous really. I don't think he's a dangerous fighter. I think he just looks for that control time and holds you down. And I don't know, maybe someone has to find a stat on Gamrot for like most wins with the least damage or something like that. Cause I feel like he just gets by in a lot of these wins in terms of the judges and doing the least amount of damage. He does get hit though, and against grapplers too. He gets hit by grapplers, not even strikers. And yeah, Fiziev, he's top tier striking. That Muay Thai, he teaches it in Tiger Muay Thai. I think yeah, this fight he'll definitely connect against Gamrot in terms of striking. He's dangerous, and the only question is if he can defend the takedown against a Gamrot. But I think he'll have the strength and be prepared for those, especially for the clinching situations. I think he'll be all right there. Um, yeah, this fight I can see Fiziev finishing Gamrot, but unless Gamrot can hold him down or control him through each round, I don't see Gamrot winning this. And I'm not sure if Gamrot has the judges in his back pocket this time in terms of just control time and no damage. So I'm average to high confidence Fiziev here, and he's definitely in my parlays.
Nice. Nice. Alex, what do you think about the main event we got here?
Yeah, I think completely agree with Gerard here. Like this guy Gamrot doesn't do anything. Like I really don't like his fighting style. Like this guy will just shoot for takedowns when he's tired. He'll shoot for takedowns when he's just trying to pin you against, the cage, try to get you down, just trying to get as much control time as possible and like win minutes that way. I guess which is a very smart way to fight if that's what you're good at and it helps you take as little damage as possible. But um I think, if you're Fiziev, you know what he's going to do. So I think he's gonna have a good game plan for that. And right, I think what you said, like you think that he's gonna knock him out. I think so too. So yeah, I think I'm going Fiziev here, and with also average to pretty high confidence. So that's my pick.
Awesome. Do you think Rafa is a parlay piece for you, Alex?
I don't know yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
For sure, for sure. Well, yeah, let me tell you guys my thoughts on this. I mean, it's kind of similar to what both of you guys said. I mean, Rafael Fiziev, world-class Muay Thai slash kickboxer. I mean, he has all the stand-up skills and accolades in the world. What I really like about him is, especially in rounds 1 to 2, really pushes that pace. I mean, he looks really world-class in his striking. The only guy that really kind of made him struggle a little bit was Justin Gaethje, but we all know Justin Gaethje is probably the best striker at lightweight. I think that was a really good matchup, and that was a really close fight that he fought Justin Gaethje with. Justin Gaethje won majority decision. A lot of people were thinking that Fiziev won 29-28. So there's a lot of varying scorecards on social media and all that. So very close fight there. Um, the one thing that I do like about Fiziev here is this is he already has 5 round experience. He fought RDA in a 5 round fight, and I think that he actually looked decent in the later rounds. I mean, he's kind of notorious for pushing a good pace rounds 1 and 2, and then kind of dropping off round 3, getting a little tired from that. But I think that he managed his gas tank a little bit better in that RDA fight. And I think that's going to prove really well to him in this fight because I think he's going to have that 5 round experience in his bag and he's going to face, a similar kind of pressure grappler, albeit like an older fighter in RDA, right? But he's gonna face a similar kind of style in Gamrot here. Um, Once again, 90% takedown defense. I mean, 90%. That's he's gonna be able to stuff a lot of these takedowns that Gamrot's gonna do. But Gamrot, as we know, he's going to just keep on diving for those legs no matter what. So he's going to have to be prepared for that pace and pressure that Gamrot does. I mean, Gamrot has insane pressure in terms of in my opinion. He's going to keep on shooting takedowns until the fight is over. Even if he's losing or winning, he's just going to keep on doing that. Great durability, in my opinion, also great recovery because when he does get hit, I mean, this guy gets knocked down like every fight. I think that but he just springs up, right? Like nothing happened. Like just gets up and then just like fights 100% again and try to dies for your legs. So, the real question is for me, like, can he keep on take that? Can he keep on taking that damage against, especially against a guy like Rafael Fiziev, right? Do you want to play that game against a guy like Fiziev, who's a world class striker? Over 5 rounds? I think probably not. I don't think you want to play that game because I think that's a recipe for disaster, a recipe for a loss. In a 3 round fight, I could potentially see the case for Gamrot at those dog odds, right? You're getting a pretty insane pressure grappler for 3 rounds, but this is going to be a 5 round fight. And in order for Gamrot to, I think, cash those odds, he has to be perfect for at least 20 minutes, like at least 4 rounds, right? Where all the judges agree with what he's doing for 4 rounds. I'm not sure if he can get there against Rafa for 5 rounds, right? This is going to be a two. He's going to have to be too perfect, I don't think, and I don't think he's going to be able to be that perfect. There's just too much of a skill and technique discrepancy on the feet, in my opinion. And as we've been seeing throughout these, fights, I think the judges have been leaning towards damage and damage more over control time, right? Like they're not liking this, you know, like boring, like clinch grappling fesses, nut hugging. Like no one likes to see that shit. So I think that they're definitely pushing for Zeev here if it gets to the scorecards. Um, Also, Gamrot, if he does take you down, does he doesn't really seem that dangerous to me. The only sub that he's had is over an old Jeremy Stevens who came up from 145 to 155. And that's not that impressive a sub to me. So for me, you know, Scamrot, like I like to call him, has been scamming a lot of people in his career. He's had a lot of questionable dubs, good matchups, and two. I mean, like I'm going with Fiziev here. I think all of the karma is going to come back to him. I think Fiziev is going to probably knock this guy out in like round 4 or something. I think that his time is up. He's going to be done scamming people. That's for sure.
Scamrot.
I get scam rob, bro. I hope he gets knocked out, bro, because he's been scamming a lot of people out here. All right, so yeah, parlay piece for me. That pretty much does it for the whole card. I think did a pretty good job kind of breaking down the card. I just want to move to the portion of the video where we kind of say what kind of best picks or best bets that we're thinking about right now. Any kind of good parlays that we're thinking about. Obviously, we're gonna you know some of them may have to be wait. We have to wait until the parlays. I mean, sorry, the weigh-ins come, right. That's gonna be a really important component for the analysis, but for now, what are you guys thinking right here, Alex? I'll hand it off to you. What do you have in mind?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, in terms of a safety parlay, um, one that I feel very, very confident about, what I like to term gigalock, I would go with Tamiris Vidal, that's one leg, Mizuki Inoue, that's the second leg, and then the over 2.5 on the Michelle Waterson Gomez and Marina Rodriguez fight. So that's 3 legs, and that's 1 unit to win 1.44. So me personally, I'm gonna put 5 units on that. Um,
Wow.
but that is my gigalock. And then in terms of straight bets that I would potentially look at, Dan Ige for sure. And probably so Dan Ige for like the dog bet, and then in terms of like straight bets that I would consider putting down, Fiziev, that's one, as well as Andre Fialho. That's the second. So I like those in terms of straight bets, but really one I'm gonna put down is that Gigalock parlay that I just mentioned.
Wow. A 5 unit bet on an all women's parlay. I love it, man.
Yeah,
That's the type of content that's the type of content we're here for. I hope that catches, that's for sure. That's and Alex is Gigalocks. There's a reason why he calls it Gigalock. Those usually fucking cash. So
yeah.
I'm rooting for you for sure. Gerard, what kind of locks, what kind of gigas do you got going on here?
Gigas. So, all right, we got the. So this will probably be my main parlay. It would be Fiziev, Fiziev, Brian Battle, Jourdain, and Usman. Now, originally, I was gonna go pretty heavy on Jourdain and Battle, those two, and then just go ham there. But after last week, I was only able to be up a few units. So because of the shenanigans that happened with the no contest on Charez and the draw with Grasso, I'm gonna be doing a round robin with these four picks here. So it would be yeah, 2-team parlay with those four options, all the variations doing that, and a 3-team option with Fiziev, Battle, Jourdain, and Usman. So that's technically 10 parlays, but I'm gonna spread that around with less than a unit for each of those parlays.
Awesome,
So it'll
awesome.
probably end up being like 5 units total, like Alex.
Nice. Very nice, very nice. Oh yeah, man, those are all kind of good parlay pieces right there. I like it. As for me, I'm just gonna, go back to my breakdown, my DD in terms of who I thought was a, parlayable piece at least. I'm going with Rafa Fiziev, Marina Rodriguez, and Dan Argueta. I think that that's a solid kind of three-leg parlay there. And just to let you guys know about the odds that we get there, yeah, not bad. On on this book at least, and on DraftKings, we got plus 235. So solid kind of 2xer.
Yep.
For me, I think it's safe, but I think the piece that I might be least confident in is Dan Argueta at minus 185. So potentially I might have to think about who potentially could replace him. But for now, I think he's pretty safe. I might also want to add another leg here and just go full blown Juiceman, Muhammad Usman. I think that that's another good piece. Now, the more that I look about him, that I look at it, I mean, just looking at the
Mm.
side by side of these guys. I mean, I think Collier's time is done.
Your boy Collier,
I think he's done
Alex's
now.
boy.
Yeah, it just I really feel like if he does lose, I just feel like he's been in so many like wars where he survived that he's gonna get caught by that big that
Mm.
big punch from that big
Yep.
fist. So yeah, it's gonna look pretty nasty. So I'm going with Usman there. All right, so yeah, it looks like we got some solid stuff going on. Obviously we're gonna have to look at the weigh-ins for a lot of these other fights to really kind of crystallize our thoughts and opinions. But for now, I think it's pretty solid. Although I will say that this, based on our breakdown, based off what we said, I mean this card does have a lot of potential passes. So that's something that I want people to remember, that you don't have to always play every fight, right? I think the last card was something that was great for that. The very few traps on that card, but this one, man, I see a lot of pardon my French, but like unskilled fighters, you know, and like over the hill vets, and that could be a recipe for a lot of volatility. So we have to keep an eye on all these guys to make sure that we don't lose money. Um, Other than that, I mean, that's my kind of final thoughts on this card. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Thug Nasty.
Doug Nasty. Maybe we
Doug
can do
Nasty.
like an outro on the video of him rapping or something. But yeah, that's for sure. All right, well, that wraps it up for this breakdown. We have another video coming your way from Kevin, who will be joining us from Best Bets on Friday, so be on the lookout for that. But other than that, have a great night. Enjoy the fight on Saturday, and we'll be back.
Yeah, I'm from Arkansas, fought through the dark and saw light at the end of the tunnel. My energy's funnel, my enemies talking, they chuckle. I don't